So this is the second part, because I'm going 3 for 3 on 3 of 3. So that's the strategy, because I can. Anyway, so let me start. So the first part we spoke about the sun. The second part we're going to talk about Jesus Christ, Krishna, Mithras, Dionysus, and there was another one. But basically all sun deities, yeah? So I'm going to bundle all the sun deities into like one and tell the story of them and show you how the sun deities are reflecting you as well. So we know that Jesus is, because Jesus is the most popular one, I would say anyway, of the sun deities. I mean, you see his pictures and he's always got a halo behind his head, right? So he's the physical representation of the sun, yeah? The Son of God, yeah? The Son of God being the Son of God, okay? The light of the world, yeah? Okay. So his story is a very interesting one. And he is almost kind of like given to us as in this construct, as a story of the journey of the sun through the houses, which, like I showed you, it's 1 for 1. Yeah, it appears that the sun is actually journeying through the houses, but really it's the physical being that's journeying through the houses. Yeah, so it is us that are traveling through the houses as a specific archetype and a specific configuration. Yeah, Jesus being one such archetype and configuration, but in his case he is depicted as an actualized or not ascended, what's what I'm looking for, enlightened, yeah, completely enlightened being. So he's transcended the flesh, but he's still subject to it. Yeah, so his journey through the houses is what I'm going to show you. And that's why, I mean, those of you that have been rocking with me, you know how I feel about Christianity, because when I say it's dog shit, it is dog shit really, but I mean it's dog shit, yeah. All religion is dog shit, but it's kind of like Christianity is sun worship, yeah, worship of the sun. Because the actual real religion of worshipping the light within has been bastardized and politicized and externalized, and that's what we have now. So Christians they're not doing anything. All Christians are lost, and I'll stand 10 toes and say that. And I'm going to show you how the life of Jesus depicts 1 for 1 the journey of the sun through the houses. Yeah, if Jesus is not the physical representation of the sun, yeah, traveling through the houses, then that shouldn't happen. It would be almost kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It would be beyond coincidence. It would be almost kind of impossible. So yeah, that's kind of like, yeah, it'll be almost impossible. So yeah, let's get stuck into it. Let me start. So we know Jesus' story because that's the most popular, but I'll talk about Krishna as well. I'll talk about Mithras, Dionysus, and yeah, you see. So Jesus' story begins with his baptism, right? Well, let's start from his birth. So he was born in a manger, right? And the manger is what? Is a house for animals, yeah? So, and the animals are what? Farm animals. So there's cows there, there's rabbits there, there's sheep there, there's goats there, right? All of these animals are constellations, yeah? All of them. Fact. So he was born in the house of where he was born, or he appeared here in the home of the archetypes. It can't be, bro. This video is a UNESCO bar, bro. You know my shit, bro. So this is one of one. Yeah. So take it all in, bro. So yeah. So first things first, he actually is born in that place, which confirms the constellations. Number 2, the 3 wise men had to follow the brightest star in the sky, which also confirms Orion and Sirius, the dog star, pointing to the location of where the sun will rise after it kind of symbolically dies, yeah, and rises, yeah, after the solstice. So that's another celestial connection right there. That's number 2. Number 3, he is baptized, isn't he? He goes through a baptism, and the baptism is the first house, self-identity, which we kind of attribute to the astrological house of Aries, yeah? So it's the beginning of his mission. The second house is Taurus, yeah, where, and that speaks of resources and values, yeah. He spends 40 days in the wilderness, yeah, the temptation of materialism. That confirms that. The third house is the house of communication, Gemini. What does Jesus do? He goes around communicating, he preaches, he teaches in parables, he teaches the word, yeah? Okay, good. The fourth house is Cancer, home and family, yeah? In Jesus' life, there's a connection to Mary, yeah? He has an emotional connection with his 13 disciples. If you don't know, now you know. Yeah, he has an emotional connection with them. He loves them. He loves Thomas. He loves Simon Peter. He loves them, yeah? So there's an emotional connection there. Home and family. He eats with them, etc., etc. The fifth house is related to Leo, where we talk about creativity and expression, yeah? Creativity is expression of your creation energy, yeah? What does Jesus do? He performs miracles. He heals people. He demonstrates divine power. Yeah? Okay. The sixth house is Virgo, which is related to service and sacrifice. What does Jesus do? He washes the disciples' feet. Yeah, servant leadership. Not only that, Jesus was born in Bethlehem, yeah? Bethlehem is the house of bread, which is symbolically Virgo, because Virgo as a constellation is holding a strand of wheat in her hand, yeah? House of bread, yeah? Okay. So at this point, if you're Christian, I doubt that your Christian will be here anyway, but you can see if you're Christian, you've been doing it all wrong, bro. The seventh house relates to Libra, yeah, which talks about relationships and enemies, yeah. And in that, we see Jesus he gets betrayed by Judas, the Last Supper, yeah, and even betrayed he was betrayed by Judas, but he was also denied by Peter, wasn't he? Yeah. That's Libra. And in the eighth house, that talks of Scorpio, he is crucified, yeah? Destruction of the ego and the rebirth process. The ninth house is not Sagittarius, it's actually Ophiuchus. And Ophiuchus talks about raising the dead, yeah, or transformation from death to life. It's also kind of linked to Scorpio in a way, and that's why they're so close to each other. And Jesus actually brought the dead back to life, right? With Lazarus. So the 10th house talks about Sagittarius, which is related to higher knowledge and faith, yeah? Which connect to Jesus in the sense that his teachings were of the kingdom of heaven and higher states of awareness, you know, seeing all as one and each, you know, the connection, you know, and the wholeness and the identity of the oneness, you know. Somebody slaps you, turn the other cheek, love your neighbor as yourself, being the greatest commandment, etc., etc., etc. The 11th house is Capricorn, yeah, and that talks about authority and power. Jesus had a confrontation with Rome, and he was judged and put to death by Pilate, right? Not only that, he was also persecuted during his birth by Herod, right? But Herod actually represents darkness, yeah? Darkness, because the darkness was chasing the light. The darkness didn't want the light to be born, yeah? But again, you can twin it again here with Capricorn. Oh, and by the way, you can go and look all this stuff up. I'm saying this is all UNESCO shit, bro. So yeah, it's all, go check it all out. Actually, I want you to go look it up. Go and look up the house, what it represents, what it talks about, and connect it to the story, and you will see that it's actually telling you an astrological story, not a literal story. It's literally telling you the story of the sun through the houses, but in a physical form, using an enlightened being. Yeah? Okay. The 12th house is Aquarius, which speaks of humanity and revolution. Yeah, this is why currently, sidebar, we're currently in the age of Aquarius, and that's why there's so many revolutions on old paradigms and old modes of thinking. Yeah, so with that, the connection to Jesus is related to his disciples spreading his teachings post-resurrection. You know, Peter being the rock, and Peter then going on to set up the Catholic Church, which then became a location for vipers. Bro, what's all this noise? Hold on 1 second, man. Let me move. Yeah, so then... Actually, I'm freestyling, so let me just carry on. So then we are on the 13th house, which is Pisces, yeah? Which talks about endings and transcendence, yeah? And that was the age that we were in before, and that talks about resurrection, ascension, and the return to divine unity. Yeah. So again, Jesus being a physical representation of God in flesh, which you also are. The only difference is he was enlightened, he was actualized. We are just kind of still tied to our physical bodies and still concerned with our dicks and shit, and pussies and stupid shit, and ego and stuff, right? But once you do away with that stuff, you become enlightened, and you also need to realize that you will go through these houses, you will go through the motions of getting back to unity consciousness, right? So that's the actual thing, really, because Jesus' story is a zodiacal and basically a journey of initiation, yeah, reflecting the path of the sun through the cosmic cycles. Yeah, not only that, I'm gonna actually give you one more today, bro, because I can. We can also talk about the 14 stations of the cross, which relate to Jesus's the passion of the Christ, right? When Jesus actually goes sort of like his last kind of journey before he actually is crucified. Yeah, so again, another journey, and he has to go through the motions once again, because every journey is a cycle. Yeah, because it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Yeah, otherwise you're not moving stationary. Yeah? So with that in mind, when you look at it, you will see that, okay, actually, hold on 1 second. Yeah, so I can give you one more, which is the stations of the cross, yeah? So the stations of the cross talk about the passion of the Christ, yeah? On his journey to, or his last journey, if you like, yeah? So just to recap, we've just established that Jesus is not the physical Son of God. He is a physical representation of God itself in human form, actualized and enlightened, going through the cosmic cycle, the journey through the houses to enlightenment. Yeah, and I've established that just now. I've showed you how his life story mirrors the zodiac houses. If it wasn't the case, it wouldn't fit. Okay, like, it's just common sense. Okay, now let's look at the 14 stations of the cross. Yeah, so with that, let's mute this noise here. Let me just find a quiet spot and I'll do it. 1 second. So yeah, so on that journey of the passion of the Christ, or Christ consciousness, the first station is Jesus is condemned to death. Yeah. So the event actually marks the beginning of the journey, the condemnation. Yeah. The zodiac constellation it corresponds to is Aries, the lamb, yeah, or the sacrifice, yeah, and the symbolic meaning is the start of the journey of the Lamb of God, yeah, undeniable. 2, Jesus carries his cross. The event actually heralds or marks the burden of his destiny, yeah. The sort of like zodiacal kind of connection is Taurus, the ox, strength, or the burden bearer, yeah. The cross can also refer to the weight of earthly suffering, yeah. Cool. 3rd point, Jesus meets his mother. No, the 3rd one is when he falls for the first time. Sorry. So the 3rd is when he falls for the first time. So that's his first trial, yeah? The first trial he experiences, which is related to Gemini, yeah? The duality or suffering, the struggle between the two aspects, yeah? And the event marks the first realization of struggle. Then the 4th station of the cross is when Jesus meets his mother, which talks about the divine connection he has with his mother, yeah? Back to what I told you about home and family, the familial connection. And the sign it connected to is Cancer, which is the mother nurturing the water element, yeah? It's a moment of emotional connection for Jesus, yeah? Okay, so again, it ties in with the zodiac. Next point, which is the 5th station of the cross. Simon helps Jesus carry the cross. That talks about shared suffering, yeah? The zodiac house related to that is Leo, which is noble sacrifice and leadership. So this station, the symbolism, it actually talks about assistance in trials and shared burdens, yeah? That's Leo. The 6th station of the cross, Veronica wipes Jesus' face. This is a moment of grace in terms of the event. And the zodiac house, or the constellation, is Virgo, the pure woman, service, yeah? And this talks about a feminine figure offering service, yeah? The 7th station of the cross is Jesus falls for the 2nd time. This marks a period of deeper struggle, yeah? It's a deeper struggle for him. And the zodiac or the constellation is Libra, which talks about karmic balance and weighing actions, yeah? And the symbolism here is justice and karma is taking effect. The 8th station of the cross is Jesus meets the women of Jerusalem, yeah? The weeping women. And the event here is compassion for others, yeah? This talks about that, and the zodiac connection here is Scorpio, deep transformation, death and rebirth, yeah? And this talks about speaking truth in suffering. The 9th station of the cross refers to Jesus falling for a 3rd time, yeah? This is the lowest point, yeah? And this is the 13th zodiac sign, if you like, that most people don't know about. And this is Ophiuchus, the wounded healer. And this talks about the ultimate struggle. You know, you're nearing the point of rebirth, but this is where the pain is hardest, yeah? This is where you really feel it, yeah? Now, the 10th station of the cross is when Jesus is stripped of his garments, yeah? This is the complete death of the ego. Yeah, you're stripped. And this is the zodiac house or constellation that relates to this is Sagittarius, and this relates to freedom and release from materialism. And this kind of speaks about being stripped of all earthly identity. 11th station of the cross is when Jesus is nailed to it. The event is when it can be called his last moment, or the beginning of his last moments here. The zodiac sign is Capricorn, sacrifice, time, and karma. This talks about the moment of transformation. The transformation has actually begun. Can you see? He's actually going through the cycles again. The 12th station of the cross is when Jesus dies on the cross. This is the death of the physical being. Physical death. The zodiac or the constellation related to it is Aquarius. This speaks about liberation and ascension. The significance is the letting go of the material self along the journey. The 13th station of the cross is Jesus is taken down and laid in the tomb, the burial. The zodiac house connected to this is Pisces. This talks about surrender, oneness, and the womb of rebirth. And the event here speaks about the return to the cosmic ocean, the oneness of all things. The darkness, the void. The 14th station of the cross is resurrection, the rebirth, ascension, respawning into the game. The sun, the zodiac. At this point, he's done all the 14. He's done the 13 signs, and now the sun is reborn as the sun, outside the zodiac and beyond the cycle, because the sun is actually outside the zodiac and beyond the cycle. Guys, you won't believe it. The sun literally just came out the moment it's so crazy. Wow. Anyway, and the event talks about the return to divine consciousness. So Jesus' journey actually mirrors the sun's movement through the zodiac. This is the second way I've showed you. So you can see what it actually is. The 14 stations correspond to the 13 ecliptic constellations, and the one extra step being the ascension or the rebirth of consciousness, or the rebirth of the sun. Moving beyond the zodiac, transcending it. And Ophiuchus, the 9th station of the cross, the wounded healer, represents the deep struggle before transformation. And most of you, if you're doing the inner work, most of you will probably be here or just coming out of this section. Stay locked in, bro. Stay locked in. You're gonna be proud you're gonna be proud of yourself afterwards. Anyway, so that's that. So that's 2 for 3. We'll go 3 for 3.